Morning, good morning. How are you?
Hello. I know. Like, welcome, welcome. Hi, this is Brandy Deutsch. I'm your host for Beyond the Edge. We're so happy that you're joining us today. So this is Dee Dee. Dee Dee.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Dee DeMayo. Welcome to Beyond the Edge. Light, love, and blessings, and wonderful, peaceful day for y'all.
That's awesome. Awesome. We have a really great show for you guys today. I'm super excited. So, our guest today is going to be Brenda Bailey. She is one of my mentors and longtime friend. And today we're going to be talking about how abundance doesn't have to be hard, or the way I like to say it, abundance is simple. I like,
It's simple.
you
It's
know,
simple.
so simple. So, before we speak to Brenda, I'd like to tell you guys about an event that's coming up. It's actually a local event. It's in Magnolia, Texas. And Magnolia is about 40 miles north of Houston. And it's going to be an event held on Saturday, the 23rd. And it's at the Way Family Dojo in Magnolia. So they're having a health and wellness expo. And I heard about this literally last night. And I was like, we have to talk about this. We have to say something because this expo is going to be really, really great. They're going to have vendors and door prizes and bouncy houses. It's a family event. So you bring the whole family, the kids, and food and things like that. But the best thing about this event is they're going to have people there from Operation Underground Railroad. And Operation Underground Railroad is this incredible organization that leads anti-child trafficking. So their efforts to end child trafficking have been amazing. And what this organization is former CIA, past current law enforcement, and highly skilled operatives that lead coordinated efforts, and they work with local police officers to end child trafficking. It's worldwide. It's an absolutely amazing organization. They hold classes and trainings on how to spot if someone's in trouble, if a child's in trouble. And I highly recommend you go to their website and take a look at what they have there. Their website is www.ourrescue.org. OURRESCUE.org, and check out their organization. They're going to be at this Health and Wellness Expo in Magnolia, Texas, that's put on by Our Way Family Dojo. So, and the thing about this dojo, what I found out, they have self defense classes for the whole family. Like, you can go and just get an experience of what it's like to have self defense, like little techniques. Like, you can learn these things, and it's invaluable as a mama. As a mama of three kids, like, I really want that. Like, I would love to know more about how to protect myself and to protect my children. There's one thing I say to my kids, and they know this about me. I'm gentle and kind and nurturing, but you mess with my kids and the mama bear claws and teeth come out, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they have invented an animal that can compare to a mother, and the fact that when we go into protection mode, it's on the verge of insanity because there's just like we're going to do what it takes, and
Exactly.
and hearing about this organization to be able to take our kids, or even like when my daughter's home over break, or during the summer from college because she's only 19, take her because it has parent child classes, has individual classes. I mean, there's all kinds of things offered, and we can't be too safe. And people that have sons only, they can't be safe either. I mean, since I was a kid, there's been things happening to boys, and we need to protect them as well. They are victims. We need to teach them how to be targets that can move and not get preyed upon.
Absolutely.
Uh,
All
yeah,
children.
it's just
I mean, if we're going to unite on any issue, my God, let it be
yeah,
on preserving the decency, the love, and the innocence of our children,
exactly.
and and wrapping our arms around them as a nation and as a world. I'm and I know a lot of people have heard about, what's happening with child trafficking and just sex trafficking in general. Women,
Hmm.
not just women, are preyed
Right.
upon. So this is a huge issue. This is something that we all need to take notice of and get involved in. I
Right.
truly, I
Exactly.
truly believe that we all need to get involved in this. So if you're in and around the Houston area, you guys go check this out. Here's the information for the Way Family Dojo. You can get more information. You can also call their phone number is 346 345 7100, and the email address for the Way Family Dojo is info@thewayfamilydojo.com. So I want to make sure I say these out loud so that if people can't have our visual, they can also hear this message, because it's so important right now, so incredibly important. Here's another thing I just want to talk about a little bit. I've been so concerned about what's happening to the people who have been rescued, the children
Mm.
and the young women that have been rescued. It's like I've been concerned. What's happening? Where are they going? Are they going back into a system that's broken? I
Yeah.
don't know if
Well, I
CPS. Some of these systems aren't very effective. Some are,
some
some,
are. Hmm.
but not all of them. What do you want to say about that, Dee?
Well, I know of someone personally in the Houston area that's very involved in the survivors. She was a sex trafficking victim, and she's a survivor, and she's got a beautiful spirit, and how, going through all that she's been through, she can still be so loving and giving. It's just a testament to God's grace. And her name's Niecy Hamilton. I know she won't mind me sharing that. If you can look her up on Facebook, she's just one powerhouse, strong person that can help give advice and has a ministry to help support those that are recovering and surviving. So hopefully we're going to have her on the show before long, and others that might want to speak out about their experience and how they were tricked into getting involved, or stolen, or there's so much that surrounds that. And again, at me becoming a foster parent, the girls that I have and get all through the time that I do that, I want to make them aware, and keep them safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's paramount.
Yes.
And what's really great, so we're gonna do a whole show, maybe even a multi-part series on child and sex trafficking. We can hopefully
Yes.
get your friend to come and speak to us about
Yes.
it, her
Mhm.
experience. And then also, I've reached out to Operation Underground Railroad, and I'm going to have somebody come and talk to us as well, just so that we can learn more about it, right?
Yes, yes. And I know we're going to go this Saturday to check out the events that they have, and start being able to collect information to share, and just experience it one on one. Yeah.
This is an integral part of what we really want to do with our show too, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like how to one, raise awareness about these kinds of
Right.
things that are happening in the world, and two, what can we do about it? Because it's one thing to talk about it. You see this a lot on social media where everybody's buzzing about it and everybody's talking about it, but who's doing something about it?
Right.
I think
Exactly.
there are a lot of people who want to get involved, but maybe they don't know what to do. So we really want to help people understand, what's your next step. Okay, now that you have
Hmm.
this great information, what now? I
Right.
mean, I'm such a practical person in who I am, my personality. Oh, that's great information. Now, what are you going to do with it? You know,
Well, exactly, and I think that goes back to how people are taught, just pray and things change. No, what action can you take? What information and people can you connect to or reach out to point them in the direction that they can go to help? I mean, sometimes they're just looking for a place to go to help, and they don't have the information they need to start helping.
that's
So
right.
it's a big circle. I mean, literally, everybody's connected, and they don't realize it, and they all can make a difference, no matter how big or small.
That's
And
absolutely
it's all big. If it saves a life, no matter what you're doing, is
that,
huge.
that's
It's a
right.
miracle. So, yeah,
That's right. Wholeheartedly. Like,
yeah,
prayer is powerful, but action, like that moves mountains. I truly believe
Yes,
that.
exactly.
So
Yes.
this is really really exciting. This exciting time we live in. Um, do we know where's Brenda? I'm just checking in.
Yeah, she's on, she's waiting, our
Oh,
guest is waiting.
good. Okay, good.
Her
I
and
wasn't sure. I didn't see it. Let me.
she could see us, and she's been
Okay.
watching all
Well,
this, so
I want to introduce her now because it's time, right?
okay.
Uh,
Yes.
so this is great. I'm very excited. I'd like to introduce Brenda Bailey, and Brenda is known as the Shatterer of Income Ceilings. She's a Theta Healing master and instructor who's owned and operated a seven-figure business and has been an entrepreneur for 28 years. She's blended her practical experience as a successful entrepreneur along with theta healing practices that allow people to have quick income transformations to create the Shatter Your Income Ceiling program and Shatter Your Income Ceiling instructor certification. So, Brenda's work in the world is to help you break down the barriers, to help you heal and get into your true zone of genius. And she serves people who need to develop their gifts and make lots of money doing it. So, welcome, Brenda. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was
Welcome.
laughing. I was like, I was in the green room listening.
Yay!
Yes. Yes, we have one of those in our studio. We have a green room.
I love it. I love it. So, Brenda, gosh, you and I have known each other for, oh my, like 10 years, at least 10
Agreed.
years.
Mhm.
And Brenda was my teacher, my first theta healing teacher. I'm going to be biased here and say you're the best theta healing teacher. I'm a little biased, but for me, that's my truth. So I like to say that. And I'm just still incredibly grateful that we met and that you introduced me to theta healing, because through that, I was able to teach other people and connect other people with that. So there are just so many incredible ways to shift and change, and I want to know. We kind of know the answer, but we're gonna like let you kind of lead in with this one. What's been the most effective way for you to help people with abundance?
Well, one, I was listening to y'all's conversation in the green room, and the big thing is that what I also want to say is that if you also want to make a difference, make money,
Ooh,
because then you
Yes,
can be more philanthropic, right? So maybe you don't have the time or the energy, but here are these, this the underground railroad. These are things that need to be supported financially if they cannot be supported physically. So I often
exactly.
see people, wanting to know, like, what's the biggest difference. It's like, that's why we make money. I mean, or that's why I make money, is to be able to help people.
mhm.
Right. I help people, and that's how I make money. But then I get to help more people, and by contributing to them and being more philanthropic. So I just want to drop that in there because it kind of just segues off of what y'all were talking about, if you're asking. So it's more than prayers, right? And prayers are good, but money
Yes.
also helps too.
Yeah.
And I've been an entrepreneur for 28 years. I've been working on myself for 29 years, which means that I have 13 different certifications in integrative
Oh,
healing.
wow.
That's been just my path. I'm always curious, and I think theta healing was my eighth. So it's not like I just found theta healing and then just went, oh, and pretty much it did for me. I will say that the heavens opened and the angels sang for me when I experienced theta healing.
That's
But
right.
I keep, I'm always about, like, how can I help people more? What can happen? So just know that it's not like I just discovered theta healing and went, oh, okay, I found it. Because I always love to have new experiences. I often say, I think one of the things that makes somebody a good teacher is being a great student. So I always love to learn about new things. And I just feel like maybe possibly theta healing was a little bit of ahead of its time, and is now, because of the pandemic, coming into people hearing about it more.
Right.
Um, one of and for me, it changed my life. It was what I found and went, oh, this is what I've been looking for. And I teach it as well. So I'm an instructor, and people often say to me, like, they'll come and they'll be like, well, I can't be as good as you because I don't have the background that you have. And I always tell people, no, you just weren't as messed up as me. You were willing to
I
deal with
love that.
more than I was. And I don't use the M word, I use the F word, but we're on radio here, and we're live. So I will
Yeah. And
I'm
it's
just
it's going to go on television. It's going to go on television too, so we can't be saying the
right. So,
profanities.
we don't want to, yeah, you're right. So I missed that as
Yeah,
I
yeah,
and it just allows things to really accelerate. The
Yeah.
big thing is that when you look at people's money or their abundance, and I'm probably going to be answering one of the questions that you're going to be, asking me, Brandy, is that people want to make it about their self-worth. Like I hear this all the time. Well, I'm not abundant because I have low self-esteem, or I don't have, my self-worth is low. And it's like, no, self-worth is a symptom. It's
yes,
not what's going on.
That's right. That's right.
So what theta healing does is it gets to the root of it
Mm.
and allows everything to just shift. So for those of you who don't know what theta healing is, it is a quantum technique that goes beyond the brain. So we hear about mindset. Your brain is very limiting. We only use 11% of it. Right. So it's kind of small, like in what we put so much on our brain. And I know that Brandy's a thinker. I know Brandy pretty well. So she uses a lot of she said that 11% is already taken up for a lot of things already, but for a lot of people it's that away. So then what ends up happening is that theta healing goes beyond the brain, the conscious, the subconscious, and makes changes on a cellular level. So, what we're doing, what we're creating in our lives, are beliefs that are held at a cellular level that we've either inherited, that are influenced by mass consciousness, that we've come into this life with, and that we carry around in our soul. And that's why it's such a great technique, because we really get to the root of what's going on
Right.
versus without having to get a lot of information. A lot of people don't know why they're doing what they're doing. It's, we
Right.
just don't know. But
Right.
we usually get to a place that we know that we don't know, and we
Right.
need
right.
from somebody who does.
Yeah. So we talk about theta healing a lot on this show. We do,
Mhm.
because we're both theta healers. Didi and I are, yeah. So Didi and I are theta healers. We talk a lot about theta healing on the show, and we talk about creator a lot, right? So we
Mhm.
talk about creator. We bring creator in our lives, and theta healing is a direct connection. Like, it is that connection to creator. And I have to tell this story because this is like one of the profound stories in my life, right? So when Brenda was teaching my theta healing class, my first theta healing class, I would ask her a question. She's right. I'm a thinker. Like, I want to know. I'm curious. I want to know. And I said, I'd ask her a question. She said, well, just go ask God. And I would get so angry. I would get so mad at her. I would be like, Brenda, I don't have the connection to God that you have. Like, I just don't, I'm not there. And I think back to that moment, and I think, wow, that was such an interesting time and an interesting place for me, because now me and God talk all the time. It's like, through theta healing and through just continuously working on getting rid of what didn't fit, I
Mhm.
was able to have that direct connection anytime I wanted it. I don't even have to go into theta healing anymore, right? But I am, and I am. Sometimes we're there, sometimes we're not. It doesn't even matter, because it's that direct connection that really moves through us and helps us to, not just helps us, but directs us and tells us what to do next. What's the next thing we need to work on? What's the next thing we need to do to have that abundance and to have the things that we really want? So I want to talk about creator a little bit, and the part that creator plays in theta healing. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Well, it is all about creator. I think it's that thing. I find that people who are religious or have some type of connection or had some type of upbringing can understand it a bit. And the whole fact that this is just a prayer, but it's a prayer going into a co-creation with God or creator, divine power, however you want to call, right? Whatever your name is. And for most of us, we don't realize that we're not staying connected. It's that deal like from Think and Grow Rich, where it's that the only time people pray is when they're in a bind. And what theta healing allows us to do is to stay connected on a regular basis to build a relationship, like with any connection that you have. And that was the thing, like when we were in class, I've often had students say to me, well, I wish I could be a theta healing instructor and just not have any answers and just say, go ask God. And I'm like, well, it works for me. But it's that thing where truly having a communication and connection, truly being able to communicate and co-create and be in that really profound, powerful place. We were not put on this earth to not be able to be in our genius, to be empowered. We just have had situations and beliefs and traumas and non-forgiveness and poor choices because of beliefs and traumas that get us into non-forgiveness, that we get into this cycle that we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust God, we don't trust our connection. And when we get all of that healed, it really profoundly allows us to be with God in co-creation. And truly how, again, I was raised Catholic, so I'm going to tell you, I don't know anything about the Bible, but but I've heard, right, to be in that position of what God truly wants for us. And I have a following from some really like religious sectors. It's kind of funny now at this point. And they'll always want to talk to me before they decide to take a class or have a session. The biggest question that they ask me is, how has this affected your faith?
I
And
can answer that question.
Right. And I always say to them,
Yeah.
I thought I knew what faith was, right?
Yeah.
Until I learned theta healing.
That's right.
Well, it's a practical application of how to stay in faith and how to have it work and manifest in your life. And for my Christian friends that are, whether they're Catholic or whatever, the basis of faith in that is, and prayer is, if you ask for something, Jesus said, if you ask for something and you doubt not, whatsoever you ask for, you shall receive. So theta allows you to identify what is the doubt, what causes the unanswered or seemingly unanswered prayers, and it's like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. Because I used to break out in a sweat and cry and bawl and lay on the floor and fast and all this kind of crazy stuff, torture myself to just reach God. And learning theta, it was like, wow, I'm totally free of all the confines and concepts and ideas that keep you separate from praying or asking or commanding and believing and receiving. So it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
It blows everybody's mind. And that's the thing, is that things can be instantaneous.
Yes.
We can it can just be that quick. It's our minds, right? And it's our non-action, because it's not like we get to just sit back. I love theta healing, so I'll just, go sit on the couch and eat some bonbons. It's that things get out of the way so that we get action and take the right action. And know what is for our highest and best. It's always about our highest and best. And when we can trust in that, which it's not like I'm not looking at you going, because that's what makes it really different. I'm not telling you what you need to do. I will tell you, if you've ever experienced theta healing, experience it and vet whoever your theta healer is. Right. So know that there's a connection and that you trust them with any practitioner, any, physician, whoever, right? Any clergy, anybody that you work with, you vet them just like anybody else and make sure that there's a good connection. And that will change your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm remembering a story, and Brenda is like the best person I know for storytelling. Like, Brenda, you are the master when it comes to telling stories, but I'm gonna take this one right here. Let's see how I'm doing. So I'm recalling a session that you and I had. This was, and it happens so many times with theta healing that you're like, okay, this is not a coincidence, right? This was just, I want to say, a year and a half ago, maybe, like not that long. Well, let's say maybe 2 years. Okay. So we were trying to sell a car. I had a used car. I was trying to sell my car. and it was parked outside of my house, and we were trying to sell it. It had been, I don't know, few weeks. People had come to look at it. They didn't want it. We didn't know if we were going to get what we needed for it. And Brenda and I were sitting down for a session. And I kid you not, while we were in session, we had done a little theta healing. Somebody comes up and says, "We want to buy your car and we have cash in our hands." And it was the price that we wanted. Like they were offering us what. So, these things happen and you just go, this is not a coincidence. Like literally,
Right.
we just done theta healing and instantaneous. Like that's when she says instantaneous, she means right now. Like
Yeah.
whatever you want, this is what you can have right now. You just have to be open to it and know, clarity is very important too. You have to know what it is that you want. Now, I tend to believe that money or abundance isn't necessary for us to be happy. At the
Mhm.
same time, we also know that those things afford us certain freedoms, like
Yes.
to be able to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get
Basic needs met. Yes. Very
basic.
important.
Yeah.
Exactly, basic needs. And then it goes beyond that, like just what you were saying, Brenda, philanthropy. You want to be able to give back. We have, I mean, we have an amazing community of people who just love giving back and love being of service. So, and what better way to do it than to help monetize these organizations that we feel are doing good work? But I want to know, what is the impact of not having money or a steady income or a steady way of producing money? Do you have any insight on that?
Well, I feel like that it stresses a lot of people out, and it
Mhm.
doesn't allow, and the big thing that I will tell you, if you want to know what the biggest result that you'll get from theta healing, it will allow you to be neutral and non-reactive. That sounds pretty boring, or it sounds like it's not a big deal, but what people don't realize is that have spent most of our lives reacting.
Yes.
Something will happen. We'll get stressed, and then we make a poor choice. We make a split decision that is not for our highest and best good. So, with theta healing and having had that, you can be stressed, right? Like maybe, not have money when you first when you're first in it type thing. And you will be able to come from that real centered position of what's the right thing for me to do. And sometimes it's not the obvious one, or it's not what your parents would tell you, or it's not. And trust that, right? And know that that's the right decision for us. And when we can be like in who we know, then we won't be as stressed. We will have faith that it will change. And not because we're, hiding out in a closet or going in denial.
Right.
We have faith that we can be calm and then take action, and the right action that's for our highest and best. And that's the big thing. When you don't have money, when it just you go into, you're a survivor, you go into survival mode. And
Mhm.
we can't manifest or be abundant from a survival energy.
Yes, there's a lot of fear there. There's a lot of fear in survival, and I think people are even feeling that today. Now, with the things that have happened in our world, fear is huge. Are we going to be able to survive? Am I going to be able to protect my
Mhm.
family and take care of my family? There's so much doubt being cast right now on that, and we have to just get out of that space, right, in our head. Not have to, but we can choose to get out of that space in our head and get into a place
Mhm.
of abundance and command and knowing and trusting. So
Trusting. Trust is a big thing. Yes.
yeah, trust
Mhm.
is huge. So were you going to say something, Dee? I saw you had a.
I just, through the conversation, listening to Brenda talk, somebody, for an example, that, doesn't have a lot of money to do things. There's things that come up in their life that require, money. And as a theta practitioner and somebody that's able to understand how faith works, but also, and the theta practitioner going and be able to ask, what does that other person need? Or how does this need to show up in their life so they aren't afraid of not being able to take care of a situation. And this is a small example. A friend of mine has a car that has the hybrid batteries, and she kept insisting that it was going out, going out, going out. And through Theta, I just asked God, to download what the real problem was, whatever needed to be addressed. And it within 2 or 3 hours, I just kept, getting told, don't go to bed yet. You're right up on it. You're going to get it. And I was shown a part in a car that I would never have dreamed of. And I told her, I said, this is the problem. It's not this. It's instead of being 8,000, it's only $85 repair, or not needing to get a new car. And she was like, wow, okay. So, and we had 3 mechanics that said they would have never looked at that or guessed that was the problem. They would have just been piling on, piling on, piling on, what do you call it, diagnostics and stuff. So things come across, maybe it doesn't manifest in money coming to you, but it manifests in money not being needed either. Or, the debt is not insurmountable, and it's not even debt, it's just your obligation to continue going in your life. So I don't know if obligation's the right word either. Maybe you can help me with that one, Brenda, because it's not
Oh,
obligation.
no, it all comes down to an obligation. I mean, a lot comes down to obligation. And
Yeah,
obligation, you don't have a choice. So when we can
yeah,
shift the obligations, it means we can do it differently. But that is
sure.
like amazing.
That's it.
Dee Dee's going to be getting all these questions. There's something wrong with my car, Dee Dee. Can you diagnose?
Yeah, I know. That's okay. But obviously, that's one of my geniuses.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to know about mechanics.
Yes.
You just have to know how to receive information,
Yes.
right? That's all
Yes.
you need to know. That's what makes it so great. Because
Yes.
a lot of times
And
people will always, I actually had a gal, I teach an upper level course called Intuitive Anatomy, which I hope someday will be virtual really soon because it's one of my favorite classes because it's such an in-depth class. And this
wow.
guy was like an IT software person, right? She started taking it, and like by the time we like ended up like on the second or third class, she was going up, and again, this is like looking at different systems in the body, and she just started talking about, she'd be like, is it sound like, or and she'd be talking about different organs or hormones or in the endocrine system. And those of us who were in the group who had taken anatomy and physiology for some reason in school, we're all looking
Yeah.
around going, how did you know this? How did you? And I looked at her and I said, have you been studying anatomy and physiology? And she was like, no, no. So, and it's kind of like her deal now. She's like really good with body stuff, but it's
Yeah.
not her background. So it
Yeah.
really allows us, because our gifts, we may not be aware of them. Like, who
Yes.
knew that Didi could diagnose cars, right? There you go.
Well,
It,
and at parts that I had never seen, or even I could imagine. I was like, yeah, I just kept getting that it was not what she was saying or even suspected. And, all these professionals had been telling her, oh, it's this or that. And I'm like, no, and I just checked in. And when I finally just sat still and was like, okay, I'm ready for that information, it was like, boom, there it is. I pulled up, it came right across on the internet, and I pulled it up, showed her the part. And even the mechanic that actually came and did it, he's like, well, I'll be calling you. And I'm like, yeah, I charge for that. No.
figure out what that cost is, Didi. Yeah, figure out what that cost is. Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
have to. I don't. You don't have to plug me into your little under the the like
Yeah,
those diagnostic things. I
yeah.
stay plugged in, and I can.
Well, that's such a good point about the experts coming in. Everybody's
Yeah.
an expert on your life, and it's like, no, that's not
Yeah.
right. And Brenda, what I love about you too is and me and Dee Dee just mentioned, you're gonna do it your way. There's
Yeah.
there's people that come in and they tell you that, oh, well, you want to be this is how you got to do it. And Brenda will go, no, no, I don't have to do it that way.
Yeah.
This is the way I'm going to do it because this is what works for me. And people get astounded who are these experts who've been in the field forever, that Brenda's having so much success and she didn't do it their
Yeah.
way. And Brenda's like, well, I did it the Theta way. You need to understand. I did it the Theta
Yeah.
way. And if you understood, then you do it that way too.
I often say I get the best marketing advice from God in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
I love that.
You know,
You
like I
too?
go when there's water, I always say when there's water involved, I must go into that theta state. Washing dishes has been a big thing as well. It's just kind of that deal. And all of a sudden I'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's saying the right thing for that person, right? Because I don't know what that is. Again, we use 11% of our brain. It can only hold so much information. I often say, if you keep, because I've been doing this for 14 years, if you keep working with theta healing and because I always say learn it, right? It's a great tool. I I think that it's a great tool. Every parent ought to have it.
Absolutely.
Anybody who, because as entrepreneurs, we are our business. So I promise
Yes.
you, I often say, if you want to know what you need to work on, start a business because it's going to come out.
Sure.
Well, Brenda, what you say is if you want to know what you need to work on, get into a relationship, and a business is a
Oh,
relationship. Whether or not
yes.
people know it, a business is a relationship, and it's not one relationship, it's multiple relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I mean, definitely starting a business is a huge endeavor and it's a growth experience. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't understand that going into creating a business. And they say, a lot of businesses fail within the first year, within the first couple years. And I think the reason that is because they don't know how to navigate relationships. Never mind the business part, but it's the relationships part that's so difficult. So why do you think most people struggle with making money and maintaining this, abundance in their lives?
Well, first off, it's, look at like generations of what you've inherited around money, what you've been told about money, what you don't even know how you feel about money. It's in your cells that have just come along. And that's the big thing. A lot of it has to do with culture, it has to do with religion. You know, we have that old, monastic lifestyle that you give everything in order to have a relationship with God. And you know what? God doesn't want you to do that. I'm just going to,
No.
spoiler alert, God does not want you to do that. God actually wants us to be abundant. And so once people can get past all of those, and typically somebody will make a mistake with money. We all do. We all have our stories, right? Of what we did that was wrong or we didn't know and we did this incorrectly or we lost this or however that is. And then people are merciless with themselves. And then they have fear and they don't make the right decisions and they can't. And it's also, it's that deal. If you want to, keep doing what you're doing and you'll keep getting what you're getting. And for a lot of people, they don't know how to do it differently, or they
Mhm.
have fear to step out of their comfort zone.
That's right.
And so that's the big reason why because I remember I was like in this new mastermind, and this woman was like a brand new entrepreneur, and she's like, everybody should be self employed. And I'm like, oh, no, not everybody should be. I'm just kidding.
No, this is true.
Looked at me and went like, and she's like, but you've been doing it for so long. And I'm like, exactly. But, you know, it's not meant for everybody because you do have to look at yourself. You do have to step out of your comfort zone. And here's another spoiler alert, you have to ask for help.
Mhm.
People are not good at asking for help. And again, because we've made poor choices on who we've asked for help from in the past. And then we make it a blanket thing. Well, nobody's going to help me, or they're not going to help me the way that I need, or, and then we have to you have to ask for help and then you have to let go.
That's right.
Right.
Allow people to help. Allow the help, right? And
Mhm.
and that's so, not just a help thing. You're absolutely right, Brenda. There's this blanket thing that happens when something bad happens and someone says, "I'm never doing that again." Right? What do we call it? An oath, or a contract with ourselves saying we're never doing that again. And we screw ourselves,
Mm.
by doing that, because unless we move past that and we say, well, let's do it, but do it differently, you're going to keep getting the same result again and again.
Absolutely.
We create that.
And the big thing that happens, right? So something happens. And I always tell people when you look at trauma, trauma is relative, right? So it can be your mom being 5 minutes late picking you up from preschool one day, or it can be something that seems like a bigger deal right? Because they're all big deals. It doesn't matter what it looks like. So it could be a car accident, war, physical, uh, violation, any of those. And what happens is that we store it. We call it free floating memories, and we pack our bags and we have it. And what it does, so here, like Brandy's saying, like, oh, I'm not going to do this again. But what ends up happening is that energetically you have these free floating memories and they're just magnets. So they draw in the same trauma. They cause you to project that trauma onto things that don't even sound, look, taste like it. And when you, at Theta Healing, I have never seen anything, and I have people tell me this, 14 years, I know this, anything that addresses trauma like Theta Healing does.
Oh, there is.
Instantaneously, it's done. You're not going to attract it again. You're not going to, because we all know that person who's gotten into a car accident. And then it feels like that you hear about like another fender bender, another fender bender. And it's those free floating memories that are causing that to happen. It happens with any trauma. So we're like saying, I'm not going to do that. But I'll tell you what, you're holding it in your DNA and you're just going to attract it until you shift it. And again, the way to shift it is, and there are a lot of other resources other than, like, I have a group, right? It's called Wealth Vibe Acceleration on Facebook. We do healing work a little bit every day. And then it's, stored in the group. You can always go back and look at what you've missed. So there are a lot of ways that, if we're looking at, and I would also say, stop saying, I can't afford it. Say, this is where I choose not to spend my money. Okay. Because again, words are very powerful. Thoughts are very powerful. If this is what you're thinking, and I think The Secret was a great book, or I think they had videos that really made people aware of how negative they were and what they were attracting through that negativity. So if you can even, so here's this, like, ask, like, I want an answer for this. I need help with this. And then be willing to accept it, right? That joke, where the guy is stranded on an island and he's praying to God to save him. And, God sends, a helicopter and a boat and a ship. And he's like, no, God's going to save me, and then he's like, God, why haven't you saved me? And God's like, who do you think sent the boat, ship, and the helicopter? It's like, so, those types of things that allow us to get out of our way, to do things differently. That's important in certain situations, and being able to just move forward with that.
You're absolutely right, Brenda. To your point about what we say, and if you studied healing work or energy work, that words are powerful. I like to think of words as like giving us a clue into what we really believe. Now, oftentimes what we think and believe are two different things, but sometimes they're not. And that's through Theta Healing, we find out what we truly believe. And that was, to me, genius. When Vajana Stiebel, uncovered this incredible modality, what she was really doing was saying, you don't know what you believe. Let's find out. Let's find out what you truly believe. And then from that place, that's where we change it. Not from, and I think it works for some people. It doesn't work for me. The law of attraction and some of these other things that are out there, I don't find that helps me as much as Theta Healing does. And working on the beliefs, and just like what you just said, that free floating memory of trauma attracts the things that we have. That's the magnet right there. It's the trauma. It's not necessarily about, what we're putting out sometimes, but more often than not, we get a clue into what we believe by what we hear ourselves say.
Yeah.
So that quote negativity that people talk about or things that they say, it's just stuff that they picked up along the way, but it gives you a clue into what the beliefs really are. So I really like to encourage people to listen to their own words and listen to their own language inside their head is to know what they really believe, because that's where the gold is. That's where you find out what you need to change, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
I would say that. And I would also say when those happen, right, until you have some belief work done through theta healing, cancel it, send it to God's light, and restate it, right? So be putting out there what you want. What were you going to say, Dee
Well,
Dee?
I was just going to say, because Brandy is always real good about rewording something. So the negative words aren't even in what we're asking for or going up to command and theta or shift. So I'm just going to flash an example of that on the screen. So abundance doesn't have to be hard, is what we name the show, but through talking about it, shifting that to abundance is easy, or abundance is simple. Um, taking out the negative word in its entirety. The word hard, just remove it. What is abundance? It's easy. So that's what theta does. It's the steps to the application of faith and changing and shifting something. So
Well, and I think also too, because I love what you just said, and it reminded me, law of attraction, manifesting, the reason that
mhm.
they don't work is because your beliefs don't line up with
Yes.
what you want. That's it, plain and simple. So, what ends up happening if you're doing affirmations, if you're writing affirmations, if you're looking at what do they call it, the dream boards, or what is it, vision
Vision
boards,
board.
right?
Mhm.
When you stay focused on that, what happens, because your beliefs don't match it, is that you're constantly reminding yourself of what you don't have.
hmm
That's why with anything that, and again, uh, it was a pretty profound, the secret was pretty profound for me. And what I really loved about it was that one story where he said, I had my vision board and I had packed it up in a box. We moved. A year later, I unpacked it and looked at it, and I had everything that was on my vision board.
Because he
What?
wasn't looking at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen to that story as a very wealthy man, right? That was saying this. And that's the thing. It's like you want to, it was funny. I'll tell this story because it's a good story. I live in San Antonio, for those of you who don't know. So I'm about 3 hours from Houston. And I had a guy that emailed me and said he wanted a session. And I said, great, come on in. Bless you. God bless you. And I have a list. I have how my session works, right? Because most people only have one session with me, and then they move on. So he's like, I'm like, we can do. This was a long time ago. We can do Skype or phone. And he was like, no, I want to drive to San Antonio to have a session with you. I was like, okay. So here I've given him this long list of what he needs to look at and everything. And he comes to my home office and he sits down, and I said, so why are you here? That's always my first question. So why do you want to have a session? I want a Corvette.
What?
Okay. What was there anything else? Nope. Just here because I want a Corvette. So I'm sitting there, and I had to tell you, I had some judgment, right? Like immediately I have this judgment. I'm thinking, oh my God, do you know what I can help you with? And he is coming here because he wants a Corvette. So I'm having to do some work on myself really quick so that I can, this guy paid me. I want to work on what he wants to work on without judgment, not block what I can do. So, and then, I find out he's a school teacher. And, in my mind, I'm like, how
Oh, Lord.
is this possible? Like, what, but he was like, oh, and he was like, he was an elementary school gym teacher. So one of the things that I said to him, so we did the work, right? I asked a lot of questions, and we did some work, and then we had a little time left, and I was like, do you want to work maybe on relationships? And he was like, no, I'm good, we're good. And I'm like, okay. So he leaves, and a year later, get another email. You know what? I think I'd like to have another session. And I was like, oh my gosh, so good to hear from you. Of course. And he's like, I want to drive. And I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting in the front door to greet him. And the thought just came to me like, he's going to pull up in a Corvette. And sure enough, he did. He pulled up in a Corvette. And he goes, Brenda, because again, this is the deal, right? When we're looking at abundance, and I think this is also a great story as well. You're thinking like the money has to come, like I have to win it in the lottery or I have to do this, right? So he looks at me and he goes, after the session, I went back home. The school district called me and asked me if I would head an after school program, and the exact amount that I was going to make would pay for a monthly car payment for a Corvette.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I went, that's amazing. And I'm like, great. Then why are you here? And he goes, I think I'd like to work on relationships now. And I went, I was like, great. I'm glad you're here. Right. So, but one of the things that I told him was, because I said that, again, God said, ask this question. So I did. I said, so tell me what, when you're like saying that you're manifesting and you're looking at wanting to, get a Corvette, what do you mean? What does that look like for you? And he's like, oh, I have Corvette models and I have Corvette posters all over my office and it's just everywhere. And I'm like, take them all down.
Yeah.
Take them down. We're good. We've done the work. We're good. Let's just see how it unfolds.
Right. Right. I love that story. That's one of my favorite stories. And I actually do reference that story sometimes because we think if we're going to create something or God's going to give us something, it's going to be the way that we think it should come. And that's where we get stuck sometimes because that's not necessarily true. That's right. It's all in our heads, and it has to do with our belief systems and what we think and how. And then, people get into the emotion of how you're going to feel. There's that thing too, where, get into how you feel when you're going to have this and this thing. Well, theta healing's the opposite. Get your emotion out of it. Neutralize the emotion associated with why you're not getting it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like we have to work backwards to work forwards, but the difference is incredible. Right. So I love that story because it shows people you're not bound to one way of doing things. And creator, higher self creator sits on this mountain that can see 360 all the way around us, whereas our consciousness is on level ground. There's only so far you can see around you. And the subconscious lives in a cave, like literally is in the dark. So what we do is we bring them together, we integrate them so that the light of what's all around us can be shown, and you can see truly how you can have what you want if you go deeper in. It's so different. We think, we're going to be up here, we're going to see out. Well, it's an integration of those three parts of consciousness that we open up and we say, okay, creator, you decide. You tell me how this is going to work. You work the magic. We're going to be here and we're going to allow the light to flow through. We're going to allow creation to happen. This is just us blocking. When we can't see, it's just us blocking the light, the light of creation.
Well, and I think that also too, I love what you just said, because it really, a lot of what we've learned, right? A lot of what we've inherited, what we've come into this life is that there's this separation. God's up here and we're here. And so what theta healing does is it allows you to be, and people have to work through this, right? Be on that co-creation with God. And then you truly step into that Eastern philosophy of the God within, like what Brandy's talking about. And then you truly get it and go, oh, okay. And the thing is that, is my life perfect? No. Am I happy? Yes. That's the thing. People will say, oh my God, you're so happy. Or, the pandemic. And again, I prayed for people. I understand that people lost their jobs and I understand that, things were happening, but it didn't affect my world in that way. That wasn't my reality. My life virtually changed very little, other than I don't get together with friends as often as I used to, or at all, unless it's virtually. But that was okay. If it, because I am the only sibling that lives in the same city as my parents, who are, in their 80s. And I'm concerned. They're at a higher risk group. So I'm going to be concerned about where I am because I do go see them, right? So that's for me.
So, Brenda, for those people who are listening who would like to know more about theta healing, would like to, have a session with you, do you have any classes or seminars coming up, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, first off, if you want to just have a conversation, like what's Brandy like? I can tell you. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but just about theta healing or what I offer or what I do, I have a link, chatwithbrendab.com, that you can schedule a 30-minute, chat, and you can ask any questions that you want. If I'm not the theta healer for you, I can recommend a theta healer. If theta healing is not what you're looking for, I've networked with a lot of people. I've got a big net. I can always, refer or make some recommendations. I often say, don't let money be the reason that you don't have a session with me. We can figure that out. I don't gift. Okay. I'll tell you that, but we'll work out a payment plan that will, make it able, because that's not I don't want to disempower you. And there's that exchange that needs to happen for anything to have value for us. It's the way, it's one of those laws that that we don't change. There are some things that are set in place like that.
That's right.
I also have a Facebook group that's the Wealth Vibe Acceleration. And we will be at the end of March. So here we are, getting towards the end of January. So like in 2 months, we'll be doing what I call an elevation, a 5-day elevation that will allow people to be able to have an experience with theta healing at a very intense, deep level. That is good. I know that sounds like, ooh, but that's really good. That'll allow some things to really, really, really. The last one that I had, a gal ended up getting a $20,000 bonus at work.
Wow.
Like during that process. It was really kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's cool, But a lot of really great things happen. I'm not teaching another class until probably the beginning of April. And at this point, I just have to say there are 3 prerequisite classes. You got to take all 3. It serves you. Brandy will agree with it. The longer that you wait in between taking them, the longer you're just putting off what you need.
Absolutely. And I know that there are some people that need to process and allow things to process. And I get that, but we can also change that too. I mean, just saying, why not make things happen right now? Otherwise, like the longer you wait, the longer you're going to be without this thing or that thing that you want or that you need. Those are great. Anything else you want to tell?
I have a free, Attract Money to You MP3 that you can get on shatteryourincomeCeiling.com. It's a 1-minute meditation. I recommend people do it twice a day for 30 days, and you'll see things really shift. And then that way as well, we'll send an announcement like when the classes are going to be happening so that you can have the dates if that's something that you're interested in. If not, that's okay. But I get great stories about the MP3s as well and people utilizing it. We make things harder than they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So when we can have an experience that things can be easier, or that something that maybe seems kind of miraculous can happen in a very instantaneously short period of time, then it allows us to be open for more. So the meditation's a great place to start at shatteryourincomeCeiling.com.
Awesome. And that's free. So anybody can go on and
Right.
listen to that and pick that up. That's fantastic.
And if it's not money that you're wanting to attract, or if that's not what's at the top of your list, right? It's just about your intention. So I let you, I've structured it to where you can put in what it is that you're wanting to call in, right? What it is that you're wanting to attract to you, but just pick one thing, right? Like do it one at a time. Again, you could do this as after 30 days, you can go on to something else, but be focused. That's the thing. Again, everybody wants to put like everything, it's like
Prioritize.
Have clarity,
Yes.
be focused.
Yes. Wonderful. That's great advice. That's really great advice. Okay, super. Is there anything else? Like we're coming to the close. This was great timing. Brenda, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for talking to us about what you do and how you do it and how people get in touch with you. I'm eternally grateful for you and for what you do. You've touched my life, and I'm sure you've touched many people through me. So, and through others, I mean, it's almost like the moment you touch one person, and that one person can touch so many more. Not, it is the most fulfilling thing as a teacher to know that what you're doing is expanding, and you're helping people in the most profound ways, and now even more so with helping people with abundance. So
Yeah,
thank you so much. We
absolutely.
appreciate you.
And I'll tell a little story here at the end. When Brandy, again, I believe that there's enough in the world, right? There's enough in the world. And Brandy wanted to become an instructor, and I totally supported her in doing it. And she flew out and she she got trained in the basic. And then she calls me up and she's like, I don't think I'm going to do the advanced. I think I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to refer them to you, Brenda. And I was like, Brandy, you're already there. Get the certification.
Yeah. And we're talking about how to train other people to teach how to do theta, right? Yeah.
How to become a practitioner. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's that thing where it allows us to be supportive. It allows us to not be in competition, right? Because when we're in that place of plenty and abundance, and it allows us to be in service versus servitude.
Mm,
Most people are in servitude and they don't realize it.
that's right.
So there are so many things that can change, but we just, I always say, if you want to know what you believe, look around. There you go.
Absolutely.
So I'm so glad. I'm so excited for y'all with this and the information that y'all are getting to people and the lives that you're going to touch.
Thank you. We're excited too.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's all due to Creator, one
Absolutely.
foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and universe just opens your path. It's absolutely incredible how that happens. And we have Theta Healing to thank for it. We have you to thank for it. We've got Creator to thank for it. All the people watching and listening to thank for it. So much to be grateful for. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So if any of you listening, if you're interested in being a part of the show in terms of just telling us what you want, what you think, you can text 805-500-EDGE, and we'd be happy to answer and respond to any text or any questions that you have for us. So long life and vibrant health to all of you. Thank you so much for being here on Beyond the Edge. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye. Namaste.